Breaking in pointe shoes is a really important part of the skill of dancing on pointe. So I'm just going to take you through some of the facts. The two things to consider when breaking in pointe shoes is firstly, what are they made of? And secondly, what are you using them for? That sounds a bit odd. They're made of satin and you use them to dance, but it's a little bit more complex than that. Take the two ends of the spectrum, a beginner or a professional ballerina buying a new pair of pointe shoes. The professional ballerina needs them to be fully broken in for a performance, probably that night, and she needs them to last one day. A beginner needs full support from the pointe shoe and needs them to last 6, 12, 18 months. So you can imagine the process of breaking in is completely different for those two extremes, and you'll fall somewhere in the middle of that. The second thing is what the pointe shoes are made of. And the difference is so significant, it really affects the breaking in process. So for beginners, it's a combination of advice from your teacher and advice from your pointe shoe fitter. Put all the facts together and you'll know how to break in your shoes. The first thing I'm going to mention, if you like eliminate from the inquiries, is the pointe shoe that doesn't need breaking in. The pointe shoe that's made from a substance that doesn't change over time, so breaking it in doesn't exist. And that pointe shoe is made by Gaynor Minden and also by Merlet. The inside structure of the shoe it's made of polycarbonate or it's elastomeric, lots of different ways to describe it. But the inside of the shoe that you can see here is essentially like a plastic compared with the traditional way pointe shoes were made with this kind of inside. Now, the way I like to think of it is the difference between a cardboard box and a plastic box. If you leave one out in the rain, it will perish. You leave the other out in the rain, it'll be unchanged. Now, if your shoe is made this way, all of these techniques about breaking in are null and void. It doesn't work. They don't change, so don't try. Even within the traditional shoes, there are lots of different ways of structuring the inside of the shoe, and that affects how you break them in as well. Some shoes are softer than others right from the get-go. I'm not going to comment on different brands because they may disagree with me, but once you try them on in store, you'll feel for yourself. Some shoes start out life a lot softer than others. This one already bends quite easily. I can feel it bending underneath my fingers, and this shoe breaks in easily. Some shoes have a full shank and some have a 3/4. The shank is this part of the shoe, the bit where you get the support. And some of the shanks are complete all the way here. Some are what we call 3/4. So the shank actually finishes around about here. And that allows the shoe to bend quite easily in the instep, but they're still very strong here. Now, the process of breaking in a shoe with a complete shank and a shoe with a 3/4 shank is slightly different. I'm going to explain why. These are all full-sole, traditionally made pointe shoes, and they're all brand new, but look at how different they are. Oh, someone's come to say hello. This one has a full shank and it's quite soft. You can see it bending, but it's supportive here. This one has a full shank, but it's harder, doesn't bend as well. This one has a full shank, but a pre-arched shank. It's a bit big for me, but that's okay, I'm not going on pointe. And you can see how soft that one is. It bends a lot. This one has a 3/4 shank, so it bends in the instep, but it's very, very firm here, very supportive. And there's something else that's really important about these. Because they bend at that 3/4 point, when you're working them through demi-pointe, there's a tendency that they start to form that shape, almost like an S bend. What you have to do with these is train them and push them so that you get that part breaking in nicely. I'm going to show you on here. You can see how it bends quite easily there. It doesn't bend at all here. Now this shoe is the same one, and I've been working on it and allowing it to bend in that middle section. When you first start to try and break them in, it's very difficult, and the best way to do it is apply some heat. Dry heat from a hairdryer. What this does is it softens the glue, which allows you to mould it and manipulate it safely. As a beginner, don't start breaking the shoe in until your teacher advises you to. So the combination of the teacher's advice telling you what you need to do and the knowledge you have of your shoe structure, which you'll have from your Pointe shoe fitter, means you can break that shoe in perfectly. With a Pointe shoe, with a full shank, you'll want to help it along a little bit on the instep as well, this bit where it won't move. Again, heat. That softens the glue, and you know what's even better than using your hands? Heat the shoe and then use your foot to gently soften it. What you don't want to do is take the support out of the shoe, and that's where the guidance from your teacher will come in. Just a little bit to help it along the way. All that heat is doing is fooling the shoe into thinking you've had it on for 2 hours and your foot is hot. Speeds up the process a little bit. If I did it on a shoe like this, applied heat and then manipulated it, I'd have that broken in 20 minutes, which is great if you've got an exam tomorrow or a performance tonight. Not so great if you want the shoe to last 18 months. Talk to your Pointe shoe fitter. Find out how it's made.